Number 11 says identify the roots of negative 3x to the third minus 21x squared plus 72x plus 540 and state the multiplicity of each root. What I would like you to do for this is graph it on a graphing calculator. So you're going to graph it on a graphing calculator, find some of your roots just to start. So again, find your roots from the graph, look at where it crosses the x-axis, and then once we find roots from the graph, we're going to try to factor those out. I wrote way too big. Let me shrink that down a little bit. So we're going to start off by finding roots from the graph. When you do that, you find out you get roots at x equals negative 6 and x equals 5. So what we can do with those is kind of divide those out. So x equals negative 6, that's like dividing out the group x, or sorry, dividing out the factor x plus 6. So using that as our divisor, x plus 6, we're going to put 6 in our box, and we're going to use synthetic division. So negative 3, negative 21, 72, and 540. So this one, again, I would strongly suggest using synthetic division because long division is just going to take up way too much space, and you're going to have to do it twice. So I wrote too big again. Let me shrink that down again. Okay. So using synthetic division, again, drop down that first term. So we're going to drop down that negative 3. We're going to always multiply by what's in the upper left box. Sorry, that was supposed to be negative 6. Multiply by what's in that upper left box, we end up with negative 3 times negative 6 gives us 18. Add those up. Negative 21 plus 18 gives us negative 3. Multiply that by negative 6. We get, well, 18 again. Add those two up. 72 plus 18 gives us 90. And then 90 times negative 6 is going to give us negative 540. Add those two up and we get 0, which is good because that'll be a remainder of 0, which means x plus 6 is a factor. So when we write that out, we just factored out x plus 6 because our root was x equals negative 6. Remember, what's in the root and what the root is and what's in the factor are opposites. So we have x plus 6, and we're left with negative 3x to the third, squared, minus 3x plus 90. And we're going to factor that out a little more using that root of x equals 5. Now the nice thing is we already have all those coefficients written. So we're going to factor out that group x equals 5, or the factor that we get x equals 5, which is x minus 5. So dividing those out, again, doing synthetic division, we have negative 3. Multiply negative 3 by 5, we end up with negative 15. Add those two up, we get negative 18. Multiply that by 5, we get negative 90. Add those two up and we get a remainder of 0, which is good. So after we factor that all out, we still have that x plus 6 out front. Now we also just factored out that group x minus 5, because remember, what's in the root and what's in the factor are opposites, so we have x minus 5. And that negative 3 and that negative 18, that means we're left with negative 3x minus 18. So we've got our three factors. We know where that factor came from. That came from our root x equals negative 6. We know where that factor came from. That was our root x equals 5. Now we got to find what the root or the factor, the root of this factor, negative 3x minus 18. Remember, in order to find roots, we got to set it equal to 0. So let me zoom in a little more here. So solving for x here, we're going to add 18 to both sides. We get negative 3x equals 18. In order to solve that part, we got to divide both sides by negative 3, and we get x equals negative 6. Wait, didn't we already have that? Yes, we did, which is good. So now we see we get x equals negative 6 from here and from here. So when it's found in when it's the root of two different factors, that gives us a multiplicity of 2. So x equals negative 6 has a multiplicity of 2. X equals 5. That was only used as a factor one time, so it's got a multiplicity of 1. And there you have it.